dads are back. That's right. Welcome to the dads, not always on wrestling, here on both the Jeff Meacham Network and the Constantine Studios.
We are here to talk about, here's our one, goddammit, WrestleMania. It is tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
That's right.
And today, we are going to take a look at the best, in our opinion, subjective entrances.
Like you said, brother, tomorrow's WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going back to Texas. And not only that, tomorrow, unless they make it 2 days, which you know they will because they always do that to us, tomorrow marks 1 year until WrestleMania goes Hollywood again, baby.
Yes. And I am so stoked to that. I am not going to lie. I am contemplating tickets to Mania next year. If not Mania, at minimal, the Hall of Fame.
Definitely. Especially
because I didn't go.
Right.
Because I didn't go to the Hall of Fame for WrestleMania 21.
Which I did.
So and I wish I had.
Yes.
But I was at PWG.
Yes, you were.
So
what's funny is so was I. I was there first night. Because also
I was there first night.
Friggin' nights that year. Or no, 2. Because they did Friday, Saturday instead of Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, that was your first PWG show ever, which was awesome.
Yes.
You know, we went to PWG Friday night. Lee and I went to the Hall of Fame the next night. That's when I got together with Dylan's mom for the first time. So WrestleMania 21 was a big, big weekend for me on levels. Plus, that was the first time that week was the first interview we did with RVD on the NoDQ channel. So
there you go.
WrestleMania has always held a special place in my heart as a fan, of course. But the last 17 years, WrestleMania 21.
And I remember the very first Road to WrestleMania tour.
Oh, yeah.
What they did for WrestleMania 20.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because my dad and I completely fell into it. We were not expecting. We didn't know nothing about it. We were at the car wash across from the street from the Walmart there on Paramount and Carson.
Oh, geez.
And Hillbilly Jim was over there getting the WrestleMania Jeep washed before he took it across the street to the Walmart parking lot to do the damn thing.
That's tremendous.
And as soon as I found out about it, I looked at my dad and he was like, I can drop you off and come pick you up in a couple hours if you want.
Shit.
So sure as shit, went across the street for my very first Road to WrestleMania. They had the video game set up, they're doing trivia and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember vividly because they didn't want to give nothing away. They were like, we're doing a video game tournament. So whoever wins the tournament wins a prize. And the very first person to do something special during the tournament wins a prize. And they just kind of left it vague at that. I'm waiting for my turn to happen in the tournament. Seeing everybody go through the roster of people for who they're going to pick for their player, I noticed Hillbilly Jim is a playable character. So when I got my turn, I picked Hillbilly Jim. And sure enough, that was what they wanted because they figured no one's going to pick Hillbilly Jim. They're going for Cena, Triple H, Batista, Michaels, Orton,
and we
whoever.
love Jim, by the way, for the record. So,
yeah. I was fairly unfamiliar with Jim at that point.
Right.
Aside from his big match with the little people. But I was like, okay, they've got to be fishing for someone to pick Hillbilly Jim. So I did. Right. Who's playing as Hillbilly Jim? I am. Come to see me after your match. And I won a DVD.
Nice.
A WWE DVD. I think it was for Survivor Series 02 or 03.
02 wasn't a bad show. 03 I don't really remember other than the Orton Soul Survivor thing, but
because we were Mania 20, so it was 2004, so that's why it might have been 03.
I got you. That's true.
But yeah, WrestleMania is huge. And I became a fan of Jim as a person through that before I even started seeing his matches. He was just a cool, down-to-earth dude.
Well, see, the thing about Jim is, even back then, 2005, he was already rehearsing his Hall of Fame speech, which is still going on now. So we love you,
Man, why
Jim.
you gotta knock Hillbilly?
Yeah,
Like
Jim
he's
knows we
like The
love him
Rock
here.
didn't talk for 25 hours there, and he's the freaking curtain jerker that year.
Yeah, that was a long. You know what? I was at the Hall of Fame for this year. I'm glad I wasn't at the one with Jim, because I'd be like, I love all you people on the stage. Ah, damn, this is some bullshit. I gotta go to bed. We got WrestleMania tomorrow. I
But
got to
anyway,
see catering first, guys. Jesus.
let's reel it
Reel
back
it
in
back
here.
in. Yes, yes.
Reel it
We're
back
recording 10
in
minutes
just
in
a
here.
smidge.
So, again, WrestleMania, it is what it is, folks. We've got WrestleMania tomorrow and Sunday. Tonight, after you're done here on both channels, stick with the Jeff Meacham Network, because we're going to be doing a watch along. I swear it's the first time I've ever done a Ring of Honor show. I could be wrong. My brain's a little muddled. I've had a concussion. Leave me alone. But the Super Card of Honor, Ring of Honor, is back tonight, live on pay-per-view. We've got a unification match, Bandito versus Jonathan Gresham for the undisputed world championship. We got, I don't do the Hall of Fame inductions as we're taping this. I don't know that information, so bear with me. But, we know for sure as of this taping, the Briscoes, Samoa Joe, and our buddy Bryan Danielson are going to the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. And after we tape this, when they're doing the fourth announcement, so I'll edit that in really carefully right here when I do that in post-production. But, Ring of Honor is celebrating 20 years this year, which is just obscene. They've been around that long. When you think about it, Ring of Honor is 20 years. TNA Impact's 20 years. Me on No DQ is 20 years. Talk Wrestling's 15 years. 2022 is a big, big year. And I knew coming back this weekend, doing Dads with you on this Friday, April 1st, having the Super Card of Honor, having WrestleMania, I knew it was the right time to take that live streaming break. And I'm so glad I did, because now I'm like, all right, I can do this here.
You sound recharged. You sound energized.
Yep.
You sound like you're ready to discuss the greatest WrestleMania entrances.
And as it is a wrestling show, we're starting off hot. So please, my friend, let me know where you're at in your head. What are your favorite WrestleMania entrances of all time?
Well, Jeff, I talked to you a little bit off camera about how when we do wrestling ones, I always kind of feel like I need that Meacham seal of approval. Like I struggle sometimes to come up with what I feel is a solid list. And you would think something that's a spectacle, something that involves music, I would be confident about.
Yes, I would.
But of all the episodes that we're filming on this day, this is the one that I feel the worst about, in all seriousness.
Really?
Maybe worst isn't the right word, but like
least confident?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
that's interesting.
So I'm definitely going to need a little bit of that Jeff Meacham pep talk here as I start to go through these. Throwing that out there, Coach. I'm going to need you to hype me on these.
You got it, brother.
My number 10, I'm gonna tell a little bit of a story with my number 10.
Oh, story time with Uncle Jay. Cool. Okay. I always like those.
Okay, number 10, it was the WrestleMania 33 triple threat ladder match.
But it wasn't.
The New Day decided to come out as hosts of WrestleMania and introduce a fourth team. Of course, the crowd, who, and the Hardy Boys, made their return to the WWE after years in TNA.
And the Indies, yes, definitely.
And I love Cole's commentary because of the one line, WrestleMania has gotten broken.
Yeah, things are about to get broken. I was like, oh, they did the thing. They referenced the thing.
It's no secret how much of a fan I was of the Hardys. Definitely. And WrestleMania 33, I was not watching at that point.
No.
But I heard about their return, watched it a couple days later, and I cried.
Oh, yeah.
At their return. it hit me in the feels there because it had gotten to the point, especially with Jeff and his issues, that I never thought they would be back.
Nope.
And there they were.
Pretty freaking cool.
Together again, as they belong.
Yes.
They had some decent feuds, rivalries, matches against each other. But everybody loves to see the Hardys together.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Very cool, man.
There's my number 10.
Very cool.
Number 9 for me isn't about the entrance as much as it is about the fact that this person got played to the ring for their entrance. And that's going to be a theme a couple times here within the bottom half of my list.
Okay.
Little did we know that at WrestleMania 29, it would be his last WrestleMania.
Oh, right.
As the best in the world gets played to the ring by Living Color to take on the Dead Man.
It's definitely retrospectively more of a moment now.
I mean, I was a Living Color fan growing up, and I say that loosely because, granted, the only song I really know of theirs is Cult of Personality.
Yeah.
But I knew of that song back in 88, 89, 90 when that song came out. I did not become a fan of that song because of CM Punk.
Right.
I was already a fan of that song. So when he started coming out to it on Raw, granted, he used it in the Indies.
Yes.
Didn't see him a whole lot in the Indies.
No.
Because by the time I started really coming around to the Indies, he'd already signed his developmental.
Right.
But the minute I heard him come out to that on Raw, I popped hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love that song.
Right. Now, see, when he came back on Raw, we were already living together at that point.
Yeah.
So when that song played, you knew what the song was, but you were looking at me like, what the hell? I'm like, just wait. And then out he comes with the belt. You're like, oh, shit. Because we had all been far too deeply involved in that whole thing with Punk leaving the WWE at that point at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, because, as we've mentioned multiple times on both of our channels, we were there for the pipe bomb.
Oh, yeah. We were there for the pipe bomb.
For him to drop that pipe bomb, win the belt at Money in the Bank, go home, throw the title in the refrigerator, post a picture of it on Twitter, come back a couple weeks later with that song.
Right. And then to be at SummerSlam, both of us, to have the championship unification match and hearing that song live, having just that, again, they call it the Summer of Punk for a reason, very much so, but it was just such a great time to be a WWE fan again. And like you mentioned, you kind of phased out not too long after that.
Yeah.
Because
WrestleMania 30 was the last one I watched as an active fan.
And a lot of it has to do with
Ryan win the belt.
Right. And a lot of it has to do with the fact of this entrance you're talking about being the last time we saw CM Punk at WrestleMania, because he was gone by the following Royal Rumble. So very, very, very good pick. And again, I can't say that I did get to see Punk in the Indies. I get to hear Punk come out to Cult of Personality. So like I said, just the knowledge, just the insight, like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Very, very cool moment.
Like, the only thing that could be bigger than that for me is if I got to see Europe play the final countdown as Bryan came out at WrestleMania.
That would have been sweet.
Because that song holds meaning in my heart, having seen him come out all those years.
Oh, yeah. Singing along with the refrain in many a bingo hall and Legion hall over the years. Absolutely, brother.
Number 8 is of the similar vein.
Huh.
It's about the people that play him to the ring, even though I don't really have a picture of them playing him to the ring.
Okay.
But in addition to the band playing him to the ring, a band who I've actually been able to see live and get booed off the stage.
Ooh.
It was a stadium. It was wide open. And we got to watch the Dead Man rev that bike up to Limp Bizkit's Rollin' when he had already stopped using Rollin'.
Yeah, right?
But because they were there performing Crack Addict, the theme song for WrestleMania, the WWE's favorite band
in the whole world. Oh, okay, Chemmel.
They played Rollin', and he dusted that off one more time. And watching him with that flag on the back of his bike,
man.
rev up coming down the ramp, Fred Durst and crew playing him to the ring. I gotta say, I was probably one of the only people at 2003 Summer Sanitarium that was not booing Limp Bizkit off the stage, because I wanted to see them live, but it was during that era where it was cool to hate Fred Durst.
Yes, definitely.
Kind of like how it's cool to hate Nickelback. Yeah. It's like, they've got some great songs. Their first 3 albums were solid.
Yes.
Everything after that, hit or miss. But Limp Bizkit's first 3 albums were solid.
Right.
I mean, you talk about Faith, you talk about Counterfeit, In Together Now, Nookie, Break Stuff, Rollin', My Way, WrestleMania 17, My Generation, Take a Look Around for Mission Impossible. Like, that's almost enough for a greatest hits CD right there. Just saying.
I think the problem with Fred is that I don't think people hate the music. Fred's just such a dick.
Pretty much.
That's really what it is, because I don't recall disliking any Limp Bizkit song, even the later stuff. It's just Fred's such an asshole that he makes it hard on himself.
But that was the trend back then, man, was the bad boy in the eye of the paparazzi. That's how you got on TMZ and MTV News. And, no publicity is bad publicity. Bad publicity is good publicity. It gets people talking about you. Just ask Tommy Lee.
Yeah, right now especially. But it's one of those. But like you said, the entrance is great. You've got the Undertaker still in the gimmick. He's not the Dead Man again yet. He's the American Badass. He's Big Evil.
He would be the next year. Like, that just goes to show you how quickly a year can change things. He had already moved past Rollin', and in his last Mania as the Badass, he's rolling to the ring to Limp Bizkit.
Yep. And like you said, that flag flying out the back of the bike. His nephew was over there doing his thing over there in the Middle East, as was Jimmy Hart's son, because Jimmy Hart mentioned at his Hall of Fame induction that Jimmy Jr. was over there serving during WrestleMania 19. And God bless that. People don't give WWE a whole lot of credit these days. Can't seriously blame them. But WWE had Jimmy be part of the WrestleMania team just to give him something to do, to take his mind off the fact that his son was over there. So great weekend. You had the Undertaker celebrating, the armed forces. You had the brief appearance of Nathan Jones at the end of that match, which was definitely a brief appearance of Nathan Jones at the end of that match. It's just you blink and that fool's gone. But again, the streak continues. You get Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit. You get the whole Limp Bizkit experience. You've got Fred on the vocals. You got the entire band there. You've got the dancers out there. Everything is all up in it. Undertaker gets in the ring, gives the bro hug to Fred, does the pose, and then boom, we're off to the races with the match. Such a great entrance. Good pick, my friend.
I tried to get a screen cap of the bro hug, but it just came out way too blurry, so I just stuck with that image.
Yeah, unless we're showing the clip or a GIF, it's so fast. I mean, it's literally, and then they pop right away. Like, there's not even a moment of like they just pop right apart. So it'd be a hell of a grab if you did get it.
Speaking of Jimmy Hart, ironically, plays into my number 7. That was a nice little segue touch that you threw in there.
I think I know what you're picking here, but go ahead. Yeah, baby.
With your yoga guru himself, DDP driving that pink Cadillac.
Yes.
Rhythm and Blues from WrestleMania 6.
His pink Cadillac, let's not forget.
I mean, Greg Valentine, I feel so bad for in the end of it all because that was so beneath him. But God damn if it didn't make for a great entrance and a great moment. I mean, you just look at that image and it screams late 80s, early 90s.
What's even funny about
WWE, and even more so, it screams the 50s.
What's funny is you say you feel bad for Greg. Greg looks like the happiest dude in the group. He's got a big smile on his face, man. He's loving this shit. He's not, but
yeah, they paid him enough. He was coked out enough to love it.
Oh man,
like they did back then.
Oh,
but yeah, the Rhythm and Blues entrance at WrestleMania 6, like out of all the old Manias, that was always one of my favorites.
Definitely.
Especially for me and my dad, because you had Steve Allen playing the piano with the Bolsheviks and everything.
God. So classic.
And my dad loves him some Steve Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of his three heroes. Steve Allen, James Cagney, John Lennon. Yeah. Those were his three.
And I've noticed you either love Steve Allen or you don't like Steve Allen. There's not a whole lot of middle ground. So, because Steve's a very polarizing figure. So, but yeah, it was cool to have him. I mean, he was the Tonight Show before Johnny Carson said, "Hold my, here, let me take this shit for a ride here." So, great to see Steve Allen there. Great to see, like you said, that whole image there. You've got, Greg and Honky there having a good time. Jimmy's doing Jimmy things as he do. You got the Honky.
Holding up the gold record. Not really sure what the record is, but
the gold records for Hong Kong Honky Love It already gone gold, baby. Hadn't even been sung yet. Already gone gold. That's Jimmy Hart produces champions, produces winners. That's what he does. Hell, Jimmy Hart knocked the Beatles off the top of the Billboard list for a brief moment of time there with the Gentry. So Jimmy Hart's a winner. It's a fact. Look that shit up, kids.
I know.
And then, like you said, you got Dallas, who his only 2 WrestleMania appearances during his active wrestling career, both in the Sky Dome, for completely different reasons. You have a great story like that. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Freaking Greg.
Number 6, wrapping up the bottom half of my list. We're going back to more about playing the person to the ring. And it's the most recent one to appear on my list.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised at that.
WrestleMania 35, baby. She don't give a damn about that bad reputation.
That's cool. I dig it.
And Rhonda coming out to Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, playing her to the ring.
Nice.
Again, much like Living Color, I grew up with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Oh, yeah, Joan Jett's great.
Not as much the Runaways, which was her band prior.
Right.
But I Love Rock and Roll.
Oh,
Bad Reputation. Her cover of Crimson and Clover. Like, I grew up with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. So when I started following UFC and hearing Rhonda come out to Bad Reputation over in UFC.
Oh, yeah.
I was already hooked. I was a Rhonda fan from her UFC days.
Yep.
Then she made the transition. And she kept the song.
Which was super cool.
And then she gets Joan to play her to the ring.
Right.
And you can kind of see the look on Rhonda's face there. She's looking that way. Like, that's right, bitches. Joan Jett is playing me to the ring.
Yeah. It was a brief moment when she walked in there. I was smiling like giddy. And when she turned, stone face. Like,
back to business.
Time to whoop that ass. Here we go. And that entrance, which will come up later on my list, kind of, sort of, by the way. I mean, that's the first ever all-female WrestleMania main event. So that's a huge moment in and of itself. Just the entrances itself is a huge moment there. So,
yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
When she came back at the Rumble, I legit had Bad Reputation stuck in my brain for at least a week.
It's still stuck in my brain now. It's April 1st, brother. Because I'm so happy she's back.
Seriously. that song was living space in my head again for about a week. I'll still casually, just out of nowhere, I don't give a damn about my reputation. Shit, it's back.
That's it. And the thing is, you mentioned becoming a fan. I became a fan of UFC because of Ronda Rousey. Yes, I did watch Brock when he fought, but I wasn't a fan of Brock in the UFC just because I wasn't a fan of Brock Lesnar. But I became a fan of UFC because of Ronda Rousey. So it was really cool to see her transition and keep the music. It was a cool little moment. Like you said, when she came out of the Rumble in 2018, you could hear Corey Graves, what? This is visceral. What? Like, what the hell's going on? And it's been a roller coaster ever since.
Definitely. Speaking of a roller coaster for a career, my number 5 entry, this guy has definitely had a bit of a roller coaster of a career. But dare I say, the entrance that makes its place on my list from WrestleMania 27 was just simply awesome.
Yes. Main event, baby.
Again, was it something truly spectacular? No, but Miz was my boy from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And then him getting those inflatable letters that he marched right through on his way to successfully defend his title against he who could not be seen with absolutely no outside interference whatsoever.
Zero.
Was just outstanding, amazing, and as I said, awesome. And of course, I joke about the no outside interference. I know that Rocky came down and totally made Miz a C-list player in his match.
Yeah,
but still,
sucks, but
he did what very few people did at that time. He defeated Cena at Mania. Forget the circumstances.
In the main event at that. I'm not talking about like a marquee. It was the last match of the day.
Yeah.
So it was a very awesome entrance. It was very cool to see Mike, who, everybody knows you and I both go back with Mike quite a bit. So cool to see him get a WrestleMania moment like that. Very, very cool.
Number 4 is going to tug at the heartstrings a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Because it should have been, we know it ended up not being because of a trip to another company, but it should have been his final match. Mania 24, Flair in that robe. You can see it on his face.
Yep.
In that image. He knows what is coming.
Yep.
But damn if he did not walk that aisle that one last time, proudly styling and profiling. And the only thing that would have made it better, and had it happened, it might have gone to my number 2 spot, because nothing would have erased my number 1.
Right.
The only thing that would have made it better is if Arn had been standing behind him.
Right.
For that one last match.
Absolutely. Oh. And like I said, I'm wearing that shirt because I was at that WrestleMania. So you know how much that one gets to me.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those matches that whenever I get the opportunity to highlight it, it gets a mention from me, because it is one of the greatest Mania matches of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
Fight
definitely.
me.
Nope. No intention. Because it's true. And considering that both of them were maybe not past their prime, especially Shawn, because Shawn still had a good couple years left in him, but they were both past the point where they were considered the best in the business at that time. So to see them pull off the match of the year in a lot of people's eyes after great entrances, especially from Nate, obviously, but again, just another cool WrestleMania moment that I got to be a part of live, and we all got to be a part of in one way or another, feeling it however, wherever we were, whatever we were doing. Great moment.
Number 3, the person I selected for my number 3, he's had a slew of amazing entrances over the years.
Okay.
But dare I say that this one definitely was shattering.
Wow. There you go. You told me you were going to have my nose. I'm surprised it's this one, though. I really am.
I remember sitting there watching this entrance start and the car in the street and doing all the chasing and everything. What is this? Fast and the Furious? Little did we know how he'd enter the franchise.
Right.
And thinking, this is freaking corny. What is going on here? But then the car busting through the glass, him jumping out of it and making his way to the ring just really kind of left an impression on me.
Yep.
During a time when I was not the biggest Cena fan.
No, definitely not.
I had already gotten over him, but that entrance, I started to think, okay, Cena entrances. For some reason, that was the first one I thought of.
Right.
Not the C-Nation clones a la Real Slim Shady. Not the marching band one.
What time was that?
That's the one that came to my head first. So I felt like anything less would be shortchanging him.
Right. Makes sense.
Number 2 on my list is another man who's had many a dramatic, many an amazing entrance.
Okay.
And this particular one comes from the last WrestleMania that I watched active fandom-wise.
Okay. Nice.
Can we just talk for a minute about Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss flanking the King of Kings on his throne?
Oh, we can always
Just
talk about
for
those
a
three.
quick second.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Wonderful moment here. I love this moment. Always have.
I mean, I said it all right there. The king on his throne.
Yes, sir.
I would love to see that mask and cape on a Road to WrestleMania tour or a SummerSlam Access, because that just looks amazing. Or to take a picture sitting in that throne.
Right. Especially with the news that broke the day before we taped this.
Yeah.
And who knows what we're going to see, with the grandson of a plumber, and everything. So that throne is so symbolic for so many different reasons for so many different people now. Yeah. So very, very cool you touched on it. I'm glad you did that.
Before I get to my number 1, I have 2 honorable mentions I would like to drop.
Okay.
The first honorable mention I'm going to talk about is somebody who already had an entrance on my list.
All right.
And dare I say, it's probably the greatest entrance from the worst WrestleMania.
Oh, wow. True that.
But The Undertaker coming out on that funeral chariot with the Raven
Nevermore
is still one of the things that I always think about when I think about the history of the dead man. The match in of itself, horrible.
Oh, God. So bad.
That match is like Bruno. We don't talk about that match.
Yeah, no.
And I think that's going to be the new joke for as long as we can run that one out.
Right.
Because if we can find something that we don't talk about like Bruno.
That's right.
But
that Roma.
Yeah, you want to talk about majesty and spectacle and
Yes.
entertainment. You're hard pressed to find something more so than that, but this is just an honorable mention.
Yeah. The thing with that WrestleMania, Jay, is the entrances were so lavish, all of them, because they were at Caesars. So
Mhm.
you'd be hard pressed to find a bad entrance there. You're going to find a bad match there. Take you pick. But at that entrance, like, I mean, Backlund didn't do a whole lot. You know, he ran to the ring. You know, like Razor did his normal music, but like Hogan and Beefcake had the music, and they had the red and yellow smoke. You had Yokozuna come out there with the music. You had, you know, that the Undertaker, and of course, you know, the opening ceremonies with Caesar and Cleopatra, and the brain on the camel, and the Macho Man with the Vestal Virgins doing their thing. The chicks were cool. You know, just a great presentation of WrestleMania. And then the bell rang. Other than Michael Tatanka, pretty much a shit show.
Pretty much.
And I mean shit, literally. Not shit show like circus. I mean it's a shit show. Yeah. God bless Lee. He was there for that one. Oh, poor bastard. Anyway.
My other honorable mention comes from a man who I've never been a fan of.
Okay.
Well documented, I've never been his biggest fan.
Oh.
You know, I started liking him a little bit when he became For Life.
Aha. Okay.
But I never really enjoyed him in his other form.
Right.
But WrestleMania 21.
Nice, dude.
When that music hit.
Oh, yeah.
I was wrapped up in the mania, and once again, I was in tears.
That's awesome, dude. I love it.
As much as everybody hates the Eugene character,
oh yeah,
I always loved him because I felt like he was us. Yes, they were kind of making fun of us through him,
right?
But he was the ultimate fan who got to be a wrestler. And so for him to be in there with two of the most underutilized, potential not reached people of that era, Hassan had so much potential.
Yes.
And getting beaten down and getting thrown in the camel clutch a la Sheiky Baby, who went in the Hall of Fame the same night.
Yes.
And then that music hit.
Yep.
And he comes strutting to the ring, beating the piss out of them.
Oh, yeah. To this day, Jesus. The one, every time, without fail, that's the one regret I have about not being at WrestleMania 21. And I only don't feel so shitty about it because he was at the Super Show in June. And I got to be there and watch him come out and bawl my freaking eyes out of seeing him live again with the red and yellow and everything. It was so cool. And Real American. Because last time I seen him live, it was Voodoo Child with the red and yellow at a house show. Very different. So great one. And that's an honorable mention, like you said. So now I'm curious what your number one is.
My number one is honestly from the greatest match in Mania history.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
The ascension from hell and the descension from heaven.
I'm so glad you said it the right way.
You know, it's how you can't just pick one because they both went into the story.
They did.
Shawn the angel being sent down to heaven to fight the Undertaker, the devil being set up from hell.
Yep. So good.
There we go. There is my top 10 entrances. Do with it as you will.
Hey, you said you wanted a pep from you, dude. So good. We even share a few.
Wow.
But before we get to the stuff I'm going to gush about, but here's what's coming up the rest of this month.
We got a lot of good stuff coming up here. Thank you for making me feel better about my list.
Of course, man.
I always struggle when doing these. Some of them more so than others. Like the Backlash one we got coming at the end of the month here, I feel solid on that one.
Right.
And that's weird that I would feel so solid on matches.
Yes.
But not entrances.
Yeah, this month definitely confuses me for you because you said of the three we're taping today, we're taping all three of these April episodes the same day for the record, kids. And the fact that you're least confident about music compared to baseball players, which I know you're not the biggest baseball fan of all time, because
used to be.
Baseball on TV is what it is. Baseball live is better, but it still is what it is compared to going to a hockey game or whatever. It's very, very slow paced for the most part. So the fact that you were least confident that today when it's pretty much your jam, I was like,
Because out of all the lists we're doing this month, this is the most subjective.
Very true.
So with that in mind, it's like, well, what do you rate the entrance on?
Well, it could be most subjective, but the one we're doing in 2 weeks, the top baseball players, again, that's going to be more of, because originally my list was very much based on stats, which is why my list played out the way it played out. It's now changed to, because we talked about this, it's just my favorites of all time. And, because I had people on my list I'd never friggin' seen. I'm like, why am I going to talk about this guy who, granted, his stats are ridiculous, but I never saw him play. So how do I really grade that? So, So your influence on things you think you don't know shit about definitely gets up in my head. So, there you go.
It's fair.
In that vein, I am looking, like I said, we share more than I thought we did. I'm not gonna lie. I'm impressed. I was impressed with your list. I tried to keep mine not too Hogan heavy. It didn't work out that way. Let me just throw that out there now. He's on the official list twice and the honorable mention list once. So let me just throw it out there now. And number 10, we're starting off with the Hulkster. And let me preface this by saying I'm talking about the original entrance with the people involved, with the song that they played in 1985, not the real American overdub bitch. I'm talking about Hulk Hogan, Mr. T. You can't see him, but the Superfly's back there coming out to Eye of the Tiger, damn it. Because again, I originally had video clips set up because I thought that's what we were doing because I really didn't, I thought we were going to do another non-money show, which would have been fine because these entrances are awesome. All these we're talking about today are awesome, and we're going to talk about today are awesome. But when you hear Billy Martin say, "And now their opponents," you hear that Starlight the Tiger, the Garden just pops like they just had a freaking 20,000 person orgy. It was like, here he comes. So it was because that's how it was back then, man. If the WWF's in the Garden and I the Tiger hits, shit's on because here comes the Hulkster. And it was WrestleMania. It was the first WrestleMania. It was like, oh my God, everything is built to this. The thing we saw with Wendy and Moolah, the war to settle the score, it's all brought us back right here to the Garden. We're in the main event. We got Billy Martin bringing him in. We got Muhammad Ali in the ring. We got Liberace ringing the bell. We got Pat Patterson doing Pat Patterson things. It's just a spectacle. Like you said earlier, WrestleMania, even back in 85, was a spectacle. So to have I the Tiger play, yeah, at the end of that. Now, if you watch on Peacock or the network or whatever, but I know where to find it. You gotta dig deep into YouTube and the Daily Motion world, kids, but it's there. Having that song play for that and having that song play when he wins the championship the year before, it's just, it hits you harder. Because that was what it was. It was Hulk Hogan, fresh off Rocky III, fresh off turning babyface AWA, and Vince poaching him and going, here, you do this now with me. Thank you. And it was being a fan in New York in the early 80s you were a WWF fan. That's just the way it was. And Hulkamania really took that to another level. Yes, Real American is an iconic song, and I can't picture Hulk Hogan not using that song. But when he first came back to the WWF and used the same music, it was just an incredible experience to be a part of. I wish I'd been old enough to be a part of it live. It would have been a really cool thing to do. But yeah, WrestleMania 1, Hulk and T. And again, these classic gardens where you see the guys coming through backstage, which they don't show that shit anymore, which is a shame. And in this clip, just before that moment, you see Vince McMahon looking, he's in the background. So Puppet Master pulling the strings back there as he do. Even of course back then. I mean, he literally bet his entire everything on that show. So he's gonna be front and center.
Yeah.
Great moment, great way to start WrestleMania entrances was the main event, the first one.
I knew you were gonna have that. I knew you were gonna have a lot of Hogan, which is why Hogan was my honorable mention.
I figured. So, but again, I only have it twice on the list officially. I was a good boy in that. I could have gotten here. I figure 10, there's 9 entrances. Oh, there we go. Perfect. There we go. But I did.
Could have done the same thing with Undertaker. I mean, seriously, between Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and John Cena, you very easily could have had a top 10 just using 4 guys.
Exactly. That's just and it would have been a lot easy and lazy on my part. So I didn't do that.
Mine too.
Right. So number 9 is probably going to surprise people that it's on my list compared to some of the other people I could have gone with, but you will see those people later for the record. So it's okay. And based on when we're taping this and the relevancy of the person with the superstar, it's just a cool moment. And I thought of the 3 people in this match, it was the best entrance of that match and of the night. Sasha Banks, WrestleMania 32, with the recent Hall of Famer, Snoop Dogg, baby. Somehow less blinged out in Texas with his cousin than he was at Super Bowl about a month and a half ago, but But it was great. Snoop goes in the Hall of Fame the night before. His cousin and Charlotte and Becky are front and center on the sign outside of AT&T Stadium, which they're going to be at tomorrow, by the way. That's another reason why I wanted to showcase this particular entrance. And you can see in Sasha's face, she's got that. She's proud, but she's also like, like I can't believe this is happening. And the gear, which Michael Cole pointed out in the entrance, is a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, who was her idol and who, she cites his match with Brock Lesnar, where he became champion as the reason she got into the business. So that entire entrance where she, Snoop and I forget the artist's name. I'm so sorry, miss. wrapping her out to the ring. Sasha comes out, they walk out, they talk about Eddie. She comes in, does the Sasha thing, and the clip I had ended with, JBL is talking about, she was crying because, why did it take them so long to put the women front and center on the sign? It's like, yeah, why did it? So great entrance from a great moment, from a great WrestleMania moment that few and far between on that show, because that was the longest WrestleMania in the history of the universe. It feels like it wasn't. Sorry, New Jersey. I know you guys the longest WrestleMania. I know you did, because y'all are still waiting for that damn train. But it was still a very long night for No DQ and for everybody, and that was a shining moment of the night for sure.
Yeah, that was a good one. I contemplated Snoop, especially
having you would, because
having Long the Beach, Super Bowl halftime show and everything. But
yep. All right, believe it or not, number 8 is the only other time Hulk's officially on the list. Okay. And it's a tie, technically. I'm being chicken shit, but I really don't care. It's Hulk and Andre.
Hey, I had HBK and Taker. You can have Hulk and Andre. That's fair.
Yes. So this one, again, talk about a tale of two cities, a tale of two foes here. You've got Andre and Bobby, calm, stoic, waving at the crowd. Andre was, and just he knows in his heart, I'm going to be the world champion after we roll out of here. And then Hulk, to his credit, no cart, storms to the ring, proud, real American, blaring over that Pontiac Silverdome sound system. He was supposed to be the only one to not have a cart. As we know, Roddy said, he'd like Hulk on stage me. Yeah, right. So Roddy, of course, walked to the ring with confidence and vigor in his quote-unquote last match, which was in 1987, and he wrestled for at least 20 more years. But yeah, that's okay. Much like they all do. But up until, honestly, this match here, when you think about it, up until, I'll say, the Attitude Era and that moment where Austin raises the winged eagle over his head after beating Shawn Michaels, it's the biggest match in wrestling history. It really is. And I'm not trying to sound like a overblaring, butt-kissing Hulkamaniac here, but or smooching Vince's butt here. Regardless of the actual number of people there, it ranges from 75 to 93,000. It was the biggest event in wrestling history at the time. It was the WWF's apex up until a decade later. And it was the biggest moment in wrestling history, at least at that moment. And you had the two biggest stars ever. Yes, Ric Flair was a better wrestler. Yes, Harley Race was a better wrestler. But in terms of star power on a global scale, there were no two bigger stars at that point than Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. And the entrances were everything in that. So there you go.
There you go.
Number 7 is the first one we actually shared.
Okay.
Not the same spot, but we do share it. And I again, you said it all. You've got the people accompanying the person making the entrance. You got the spectacle of the entrance. It really is an entrance fit for a king of kings. Triple H and WrestleMania entrances, it's almost seemed like he's tried to outdo The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan. He doesn't need to, man. He does amazing on his entrances with collaborations with people. It's just a great, great thing to see. It really is. And when you think about the fact that Alexa and Charlotte and Sasha have the moment here, within 2 years, Charlotte and Sasha, as I mentioned earlier, are on the main marquee of the main part of the marquee sign at WrestleMania. 2 years later, Alexa is on her way to becoming one of the biggest stars in the company at that point. She was still in NXT, but she was on her way. Just a great moment to see that, and then just to have Brian just come out to the Flight of the Valkyries, just defiant against the authority. Great way to start WrestleMania. This one I appreciate on a lot of levels. The next one here, this is, where am I at here? Number 6. Yeah, number 6. So I haven't had the opportunity to see this man live on a pay-per-view stage that I know of. I don't remember, which I'm sorry about, Mr. Nakamura. I apologize, but I have seen the lady that played him to the ring live because she played Mick Foley in for his one-man show a couple years ago, and she is an amazing guitarist. She's an amazing person, and she saved the day when it came to taking a selfie with me after Mick Foley's show because she's that awesome. I'm talking about Nita Strauss playing Shinsuke Nakamura to the ring at WrestleMania 33. 34, excuse me, 34. New Orleans. Yeah. Again, you have a great song that everybody interacts with. You know, everybody's doing the Nakamura, for a while anyway. And then you throw in Alice Cooper's lead guitarist, and that's like hold our whatever drink you want to talk about. You know, with Alice Cooper and everybody, probably whiskey or whatever. But yeah, it's hold the drink, man, because Nita tore that shit up and did such an amazing job. So good. And it was fun to watch and fun to listen to. I can imagine, and it's so dumb now. I can see Pat McAfee doing his crazy shit to this entrance and probably fall off the damn table. He'd be into it so much.
Nakamura is always fun to watch to the ring because out of all the current themes, his is the one, to me at least, that seems to like really get that audience involvement.
Yes.
And you want that, especially when you're stuck in a position that, as of this taping, people forget you're champion.
Right.
To have an entrance like that when it hits, oh shit, him, yes, Nakamura, yes.
Yep. Yeah, seriously. Prior to, and again, this is going to air after that happens. When they announced that he was going to lose to Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, it's like, oh, that's right, he's champion. Like, and here we are just a few years before getting the big celebrity music entrance to face the WWE champion, no less. And that match, I'll die on the hill, was the start of the slide. Because he lost and he turned heel right away. I was like, oh, no. I can't think of a solid thing he's done since, up until the program with Corbin. A program with King Corbin had to save him. Let's sit on that for a second, shall we? Christ almighty. But this entrance, fucking solid. So good.
And his jacket and outfit always reminds me of like
the
Thriller era Michael Jackson.
Which I think is the idea.
I'm sure it is, but like it just always takes me there, which is so cool to see somebody going to that.
Definitely cool to see.
I always wanted one of those jackets.
Right? Like, I'll go into Hollywood every now and again and see a replica one. I'm like, if I had the money. All right.
Thriller replica jacket, replica title belt. Thriller replica jacket, another title belt. Damn it. Business.
Right. That's it. Business. That's it. All right. You talk about potential in a person, and immediately after this moment, the entrance, the slide begins. We move into my next one.
Oh, man.
This is going to be one of the rare times I shit on not necessarily the person he's facing, because I know it ain't his decision at the end of the day. But there is no damn good reason you can tell me that John Cena should have beat Rusev this year, and he did it anyway, damn it.
We can have that conversation about a lot of Cena's opponents.
This one and the year before with Bray are the two that stand out the most to me with John.
And I will throw one more in there because I've been watching Old Dads recently. Mm-hmm. Specifically, I was rewatching our underrated themes.
Right.
The Nexus. It wasn't Mania, but
right. Oh, yeah.
When he beat them, he shouldn't have beat them.
No, not at all.
All three of them started that downhill slide as a result of their loss to Super Cena.
Yeah. Luckily for Bray, I guess you'd want to call it luckily, it took a long time for the luster to completely go off of him. Rusev, instant. Like, Rusev Day definitely brought him back out of the sludge that he had been put into after this. But even that didn't save him overall because now he's with AEW, obviously. And granted, he's doing great in AEW.
Yeah.
Depending on perspective. Miro's a great thing in AEW, but man, Rusev Day was special. And this moment with the tank, with Lana, with everything, you talk about a WrestleMania moment that should have been 100% of a career changer, opposite of how it actually changed his career. This is it, man.
Because at this point, Cena didn't need it.
No, he didn't. He didn't. And again, I will very rarely shit on, hey, let's put John over. There was no reason for John to go over here. Granted, we had the U.S. Open Challenge after that, which made for some great moments, like with Sami Zayn and a few other people, Kevin Owens and the like. But Rusev retaining the championship here with that entrance could have put he could have been wrestling the champion at SummerSlam that year. He really could have. He could have been facing the WWE champion, which at that point would have been still Seth Rollins. Instead of that ridiculous moment with Rollins and Cena with Jon Stewart. Think about that for a minute. Again,
WrestleMania in my mind, you always think of the torch being passed.
Yep.
Andre to Hogan, Hogan to Rocky,
yep.
Rocky to Cena.
Yep.
You know, Michaels to Austin.
Yep.
You know, Brett to Michaels.
Yep.
As controversial as that may be, considering the screw job a year and a half later.
Right.
But you need to have those moments. And this could have been a Cena to Miro.
Yep.
Cena
Rusev
to Rusev.
Day could have taken on a totally different context. I mean, really.
Thank you.
So, all right. Next one for me, again, is one of those where I was supposed to be there. And I was supposed to be in the area where the entrance really took hold, because the friend of mine that went to this WrestleMania was sitting right where the zip line ride ended in Anaheim. And I get shit about that to this day. Son of a bitch. So, I mean, granted, I was at the pond a few years later. Let's not forget that WrestleMania. But we all like to say this because it was a horrible WrestleMania. But I was there. It's my first one. So what are you going to do?
I actually contemplated using the Godfather D'Lo Brown entrance from 2000 on my list. Because with that being one of the first Manias I actually watched as it happened.
Right.
I remember that music dropping and Ice-T coming out and popping so hard for that. Yeah. Despite how ridiculous D'Lo looked as Godfather's mini-me.
And when you think about how bad the performance was, he wasn't in sync with the music. He wasn't even in sync with his own damn self. He wasn't good. It's like, oh my. And I'm sitting there for that shit live going, what am I doing here? Can I go home? Oh my God.
I still loved it though, because it was one of those things. But Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
It's one of those that I knew was going to be on your list, so I left it off on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, what's really cool about this entrance, I mean, yes, Brett was very bitter critter because he didn't get the big moment. He just walked to the ring defiantly as a champion. This is one of those where Vince won't ask you to do anything he won't do himself moments. And there's footage of Vince doing this zip line. It's like, you a crazy old man. I wouldn't do that shit at Sean's age then. I wouldn't do that shit at Dylan's age now. Just interesting that Vince would. I mean, it's just, again, you don't really think about Vince doing the outside the box stuff on his own, but man, watching him, and again, not only doing it, but doing it in, a long sleeve t-shirt and, basic pants, like, is that really Mr. McMahon? Compared to the, the freaking Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, suit and ridiculous tie thing at WrestleMania. It's like, all right. But again, it's at the Pond when it was still called the Pond, damn it.
It's still the Pond to me.
I know. The first WrestleMania in my lifetime, well, no, that's not true. In my fandom that I could have been a part of, wasn't able to be there, but it was a cool moment. The whole thing for Shawn was cool. The whole match was great, an hour-long match, just an awesome moment overall.
Yeah. I was not a fan yet when that happened,
right?
But 2000 was the first one I could have attended in my fandom.
Mm-hmm.
But it was too expensive for our first show, so we did the night after.
Well, it's funny. The only reason, again, this is going to be a really quick into the weeds here. The only reason I got to go to WrestleMania was because my buddy and his family went to SmackDown in September, the previous September of '99, and got me a pre-sale code.
Nice.
What's really funny is we couldn't buy them at the same time for whatever reason. I don't remember the whole circumstances, but we got tickets in the same section. We were like 401. If you've ever been to the Arrowhead Pond / Honda Center, 401 is up there in weighty fuck. Yeah. But they were like halfway up the section, like it actually was close to the top. I was in second row, and I got mine later.
Hey,
what's really funny is I wanted to sit with my friends so bad I ended up sitting in the aisle for most of the show so I could sit next to my friends. So, but when I took pictures, which I have plenty of, I was like right because we were like right over the entrance. So like when Jericho came out and did his whole pose thing, it's like he's looking right at me. It's like, that's such a cool shot. Got a great shot of Backlund and Angle before Backlund went knucking futz on it, or before Angle went knucking futz on Backlund, which was a great moment on Heat also.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was my first WrestleMania 2000, so it is what it is. But this one, WrestleMania 12,
exactly.
It's just it wasn't the greatest WrestleMania of all time by any means. We tend to have that kind of bad luck with Cali WrestleManias prior to WrestleMania 31 back in 2015. Not the best WrestleMania cards out here. Hopefully that changes next year. But
we have manias where the card looks decent on paper.
Yeah.
But then the execution isn't what it needs to be.
No. You figure, we had two.
Except for Big Show Akibono, that didn't even look good on paper.
Yeah, no, nor did the paper diaper look good on him. But it's just too many folds.
So I went and bought my Hot Rod t-shirt during that match.
Too many folds, Paul. Too many folds. Anyway, I'm a bad person. It's okay. So the next one is one that I said we shared, kinda.
Okay.
Because it is Ronda with Joan Jett. But it's also Charlotte and the helicopter. And it's also Becky with her just very simplistic entrance, just like the fog and the defiant walk to the ring. So good. All three of these women they're in the main. Here it is. I'm going to do it again. I don't care if I make money. They're in the fucking main event of WrestleMania. And they pulled out every stop they could. Charlotte, you see Charlotte there. She's flying to this helicopter pad on top of the arena. She lands, she gets out, she winks at the camera as only Charlotte can do. Joan Jett's playing Ronda out. And again, you caught the Ronda smile. I caught the Ronda, I'm going to fuck shit up moment. And then you had Becky, who just, the man image pops up and she gets on the rope when she gets there. And you see Mr. Best in the World announcer, Greg back there. And just a great moment. Entrances were amazing. Music was great. You had Joan Jett there, like you said. You had the Ric Flair sprinkles into Charlotte's music with the whole, the big refrain and everything. You had Becky's music, and you had the moment where, like I had been for the previous how many years, a advocate of women's wrestling, a promoter of women's wrestling at one point. I remember texting Travis and I said, dude, this is why we were doing what we were doing. This is it right here. And we both had that like hell yeah.
That was your lose yourself moment.
It really was. And I wasn't even there, which is so silly. But it's like, this is why we fought so hard to get that platform for anybody we could, because damn it, they belong here. Yeah. And now they go out of their way to make sure the women have at least one night where they're the last match, which I think
as they should.
Awesome. So, all right, number 2, before I get to the honorable mention, is one that, again, there's so many to choose from this person. But for me, it'll always be this one, because it was the return to the character that we've all come to love, appreciate, be scared of, be whatever over the years. And because our buddy was part of it as well. WrestleMania 20, The Undertaker.
The return to the darkness.
Return of the darkness. Return of Paul Bearer. Again, our buddy Purse, who we miss dearly. He's been gone 9 years in a few weeks, too. This year, I just can't believe that, dude. Just what's really funny about that moment is we expected it the year before the Royal Rumble, because he'd been taken off TV with Enter the Big Show. They hyped him coming back, including using dead man footage. Number 30 goes off on the buzzer. Dead man walking, and that horrible "you done it." Oh God, he's the biker still, son of a bitch. But then he loses to Vince at Survivor Series with Kane's help, and he literally gets buried alive. And you're like, all right, I can mess with this. I can get with this, because we know what's coming now. They've buried the character for real now. So Royal Rumble hits, the gong hits, distracts Kane, and we're off to the races. And this is one of the best payoffs in storyline build history, because Paul walks out. He says the "oh yes." The Druids come out. It's like, there's no way it's not going to happen now. And then that gong hits. I'm fucking getting the goosies right now. Son of a bitch.
Right?
Every time with this character. But the gong hits, and you can hear the Garden go, "oh my God." And then he walks out. Still looking like the badass a little bit with the singlet on, but he's got the trench, he's got the hat, and when he pops out of the fire, where you can see him in the fire, you can hear Jerry Lawler go, "oh!" Like, and then when he gets the ring, Kane was wrong, JR. He's not dead. It's like, he's like, Kane and Paul, the Undertaker and Paul Bearer live. And it's like, yeah, JR, say the things, do the things. It's so good. And then the entrance all the way to the first strike, because Kane refuses to believe this is happening. And he reaches out, he's not real, and then pop right in the face. Like, yeah, that was real there, Glenn. Watch your face. How's your face, Glenn? So good. So good. Okay. Honorable mention is I forget, sentimental. 100% sentimental for me. Being a fan as long as I've been, and seeing the progression of this person, I never thought I would see this again, because of the bad blood that had happened when he had left, and the reason he left, and all the things that had been said, all the things he had done, or alleged he'd been done to the company. And he goes into the match as the heel, for the record. And the crowd doesn't care, because it's Hulk Hogan, and it's WrestleMania, and they're in Toronto. And I didn't get the image here because it didn't really fit very well into the YouTube category, but there's this image where he's like got a smile, like he's just like at the crowd, because he's like, holy shit. I ran this guy over with a truck after hitting him in the head with a ball peen hammer on the top of his head. And these motherfuckers are still cheering me on. I'm like, holy crap, brother. Like, this is crazy. It makes me cry to this day. It really does, because again, you never expected to see the NWO back in wrestling on that stage. You never expected to see Hogan come back to WWF at all. You didn't expect the Hulkamania to return. Even then, it wasn't quite Hulkamania, because it wasn't the red and yellow, but it was bubbling. And it was so cool as a Hulkamania. Like, oh my God, dude. And then to have Hogan and Rock have the match they had with the crowd reactions they had, it's like, this is really happening. Like, holy shit. So cool. And like I said, that's the honorable mention. So
you hit the nail on the head 100%. The crowd reacted the way they did because they never thought they would see Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania again.
No.
And then they did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Hulkamania, it was the New World Order. It was the competition's Hogan.
Yeah.
The Hogan that WCW wrestling made a household name. You could almost even argue, and it would be a hard argument, but you could almost even argue that WCW's NWO Hogan was more popular than Hulkamania because of how you could go into J.C. Penney's, Hot Topic, buy NWO shirts. NWO was everywhere.
Behind this
And
curtain,
that Bischoff's Hogan is who came out at WrestleMania.
You figure it like this: behind this curtain is my wardrobe closet. I've got more NWO / Hollywood stuff than I do Hulk Hogan stuff in there. No joke. That tells you everything. And again, I'll probably bleed out red and yellow when I do finally go into the ground or go into that urn or whatever. When whoever takes me out. But it'll be a little black and white and red coming out there too, brother, for life. I'm telling you, it's going to be a thing.
It's a hot take to debate, but
yeah.
But I mean, you could dare say that Bischoff's Hogan was more popular than Hulkamania.
It's a very, very, it'd be a great topic for a debate one day, without question.
100%.
So if Hulk Hogan's not my number one, if The Undertaker's not number one, if Shawn Michaels isn't number one, hell, John Cena's not even on my damn list, which is scary.
That's
right?
your buddy.
I know. But how could I possibly not go with an entrance for WrestleMania as the greatest in WrestleMania history that I was there for? This is, and again, 16-time, 21-time, 2,568,000-time champion, whatever the hell. This is Ric Flair's moment. This is the moment you showed it. He had the emotion on his face. This is him naching up, man. This is him raising the robe, throwing the woo out there in front of 70,000 people. Yeah. Like, I know I'm losing the back of my mind, but goddamn, I'm going to give these people a show. And he sure as shit did, man. That match was the match of the night. It was the match of the year. And when you think about it, you had Floyd Mayweather and the Big Show on that card, which wasn't going to be your classic 5-star Meltzer encounter, but it was the marquee match of the night. And it pulled itself off very well. I'm not even going to lie about that. Edge Undertaker was the main event, the last match, and that went off very well. And then, people getting literally set the hell on fire after the match. But hey, what are you going to do? We had a triple threat match, which was the result of John cashing in his WrestleMania Rumble cash in at No Way Out. So you had those two and Hunter in the WWE Championship match. It was like, it just didn't, like, again, the entrance, you mentioned the drumline entrance with John earlier when you were talking about John, like, that was great and all, but that whole match fell off. You had the disastrous Playboy Lumber Jill cluster, whatever, again with Snoop Dogg. Just that whole night, other than this match, just felt off. But everything about this match, from the moment Shawn Michaels walked to the ring to the moment Ric Flair walked up that ramp one last time, was so perfect. And Ric Flair getting that entrance and getting that moment and being able to say that of the, at the time, 6 billion people on this planet, there were only 78,000 and something that had paid a ticket to see that WrestleMania. So that's a very small percentage of people that were paying customers to see Ric Flair's officially last match. You mentioned the TNA shit earlier. It's like, I tend to like, you know what? He did that for the money. This was for the moment. And, if you retcon his TNA career, which I try very hard to do because it was so bad. With all due respect to Rick and everybody involved in TNA, it was just a clusterfuck. It really was.
Again, his TNA run, like Bruno, we don't talk about it.
Exactly.
Twice in one show.
There you go. I also found it funny that at his Hall of Fame speech that the previous night he mentioned every Horseman era except pretty much Paul Roma's because Roma does suck that bad. So he actually mentioned Sid either because Sid literally tried to kill his best friends. Probably not gonna mention him either. Anyway, but to be there for that and to be there with my dad, who my dad's not the biggest. Like, he's not going to go to every friggin' show fan. But he took me to Orlando to see that and to see the Hall of Fame. And he took me to Disney World before that. Like, I mean, goddamn, what a weekend. You got Disney World, you got the Hall of Fame, you got WrestleMania. The only regret I will ever have about that whole trip is not going to Raw the next night. Because I got home, watched that on the VHS I DVR'd it on. That's how old we are. And it was like, oh, part of me sucks that wasn't there. Part of me is like, well, I wasn't. I probably would have been a puddle of tears walking out of that damn arena because that was emotional as shit. So, but the Hall of Fame is very emotional. Partly because it was Flair's last night, partly because The Rock is still doing his speech for his dad and his grandfather. Jesus Christ, Dewey. God, between you and Jim, Mr. T, y'all need to shut the hell up for real. Good grief, Charlie Brown. But yeah, Ric Flair walking out in that Citrus Bowl, which I don't even think it's called Citrus Bowl anymore. That's how much it's changed since then. But just that moment. And then watching it back on commentary later and hearing JR, tonight we celebrate Nature Warrior Flair. It's like, yeah, we do. Damn it. Yeah, we do. There it is. That's my number one, Ric Flair.
Nice. I mean, there's so many things with WrestleMania. But if somebody doing a random guy on the street interview came up to me and was like, when you hear WrestleMania, what do you think of? First thing out of my mouth every time is going to be, I'm sorry, I love you.
Yeah, fucking Jay, goddamn you.
It just is what it is,
Yeah,
you can sit here and you can talk about the history, the prestige. You can talk about Hulkamania, Body Slam and Andre. You can talk about, the Pontiac Silverdome and the attendance. You can talk about Austin and Michaels. You can talk about Iron Man. You can talk about 100 other things. My answer is always going to be, I'm sorry, I love you.
And
because that image is etched in the front of my brain for life.
Yeah. And when you think about, they always, talk about, when every door closes, a new one opens. That's the classic phrase in life, right? The door on Ric Flair's career closed Sunday night. My son's life began the following Friday. You talk about a week of emotion. Disney World, Ric Flair's last match, becoming a father. Like, Jesus Christ. And if you watch the Talk Wrestling I did after I came back, you can hear it in my voice. I'm just a mess.
Yeah.
It's just
let me see the best booker in the world book that storyline.
Right?
You can't.
Seriously. I was legitimately at the Magic Kingdom the morning of WrestleMania. Does it get any more Disney intro than that shit? No. Step off a plane, go to the doctor the next morning. Oh, your girl's in labor. Oh, okay. Craziest damn week of my life to this day.
I totally hear you, dude. What do you guys think out there? We just gave you our picks for WrestleMania's best entrances. In our opinion, yes. Subjective as always.
Always.
Did we miss anything? Did we leave anything off the list? There's a few that we didn't even have as honorable mentions that we did talk about. Should those have been on our list instead of the ones we had?
Right?
Let us know. If you're watching the live stream, the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, because we've got so much crap we've been giving you today, leave your thoughts and comments down here. We will get back to you. It is WrestleMania weekend. We are booked beyond belief, but trust and believe we will get back to you. After this goes on off the air, make sure you stay tuned in right here on the Jeff Meacham Network for the watch along of Reign of Honor, Supercard of Honor. To Jeff's recollection, the first watch along for Reign of Honor that he has done. That should be a really, really good show. I'm excited. I know Jeff's excited. You can see it on his face. Obviously, night one of WrestleMania. Gonna have the watch along reactions right here on the Jeff Meacham Network. Sunday, right back over here on the Jeff Meacham Network for night 2 of WrestleMania. Along with that, in 2 weeks, right back here on the Dads, Not Always on Wrestling, we will be discussing our top 10 all-time favorite baseball players. Not necessarily the GOATs, the greatest of all time, but our favorites.
Yes.
2 weeks from that, we will be back here, and it's going to be wrestling again, and we will be discussing our top 10 Backlash matches.
Yeah, buddy.
And there's a little bit of a giveaway we're doing with this one.
Yes.
Anybody who knows me should know my favorite Backlash match. So here on the network, we are going to give away this Miz and Morrison 2-pack. If you can guess in the comments, either over here watching the premiere or down here watching on demand, if you can guess correctly what my number one Backlash match is, you will win Hercules Reborn, starring John Morrison on DVD, and the Marine 3 Homefront Blu-ray DVD combo pack, starring Mike the Miz Mizanin. Disclaimer: anybody affiliated with the Casa D18 Studios or the Jeff Meacham Network are not allowed to enter, because y'all know me the best. And I have had this conversation with probably just about everybody affiliated, with the exception of maybe Greg Cherry or Big Baller G.
Right.
But if I eliminate Stat Boy and those people from the Jeff Meacham Network, I've got to eliminate the rest of the network too.
Yes.
So,
Uniform.
So basically, if you are my dad, my girlfriend, Stat Boy, Jeff, Big G, or Greg Cherry, you pretty much can't enter. Everybody else is open.
What would be really funny
is
if Aaron,
Backlash match of all time?
It'd be funny if Aaron got it right, because his YouTube been spearheading the thing of me watching every movie ever made that I haven't watched. So that'd be the best part, personally.
That would be hilarious.
And
then since I'm sure he doesn't want either of these, he could probably gift them to you, so you have more movies you've never seen that you need to watch.
What's so stupid is I've owned the first 3 Marine movies for a hot minute. Still haven't watched all of 2 or any of 3. Oh yeah. But yeah, again, it's gonna be a great weekend. We've got the Supercard of Honor, we've got WrestleMania tomorrow and Sunday, and then we're back to work full time. Dylan's birthday's on Monday. We're gonna do Tuesdays, because we like I said, we had our Stat Boy season finale a month and a half ago. So Might have to plug in something there on Tuesday nights to, Talk Wrestling is obviously on Tuesday nights, so we may just leave it at that, honestly, because that's a lot for me to do anyway on its own. But we'll see how the week plays out. But again, everybody, please tune in for WrestleMania. Please watch. I know it's not the greatest movie. It's not even the greatest movie of anybody's career, but that Avengers spoof it's a must watch because it's so bad. Seriously, watch the movie. Like you said, it's free with ads on Vudu, I'm sure, or Tubi or whatever. Watch that.
If you've subjected yourself to things like Scary Movie, Date Movie, Epic Movie, you can sit through Avengers of Justice.
Exactly. And then do like I'm going to do Sunday and watch it because I still haven't seen The Condemned, thanks to my ex. Damn her. I'm going to watch Condemned.
And Condemned 2 are both on Vudu free with ads.
There you go. And you know what? If you can't deal with a few ads, you're just impatient. You really are. So
seriously, because it's not any different from watching it on regular broadcast television where they throw commercials in. The only difference is it's uncensored viewing of the screen. So you still get all the bad language and the violence that they'd cut off of a regular broadcast. You just got to deal with a couple of commercials like you would.
And if you're watching The Condemned, you're watching for the violence and the mayhem. So it's kind of one of those things. And then, of course, WrestleMania tomorrow and Sunday night, and Ring of Honor tonight. Right? Obviously, I can't even talk. Thank you, JJ. Again, thank you, my friend. Thank you to everybody watching out there. Again, we appreciate all of our audiences, whether it be on the network, be it on the studios, be it wherever you're watching. We thank you very much for that. We thank you for your time on Friday, because we know Fridays are busy and it's WrestleMania weekend, so we know it's an extra mucker further of a busy today. So we thank you for that. That's really it. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks for our baseball player show. We will see you guys next time right here in the Dads, always on wrestling.